I'm John Higgins, I'm a comic artist, and I do this for a living. I'm hoping you're going to get some paper in the middle in a minute. What we'll do is we're going to talk our way through how to tell stories, and I've got some images behind me. And these images are things that made me want to do comics in the very beginning. This guy is called Frank Hampson, and he worked in the 50s and 60s on this comic called The Eagle. And the great thing about this sort of stuff is it actually shows you almost perfectly how to start a comic page. I mean, so it's a great example to look at. And the same thing, each page relatively starts the same. You either set up the scene to show the people where they are in the context of the story, or you introduce the characters in the story. So in the first page, he's on like in some futuristic, he's on Earth, where it's in the future, and it's like there's some sort of strange and wonderful ship, which you can see in the top right hand corner. And then it's like, obviously, to a certain degree, it's like the way they're doing the talking heads is just a very small, stylistic shortcut that we don't necessarily use too much nowadays. But then you go into like setting the two characters, and then there's like starting to expose and talk about what we're doing within this particular context of their story. And then we have the dramatic situation. So what we try and do is set up the scene, introduce the characters, and then try and introduce some sort of conflict with either introducing newer characters. And the fact that you can actually do within 4 to 5 panels is just quite an impressive thing to do so well as, you know, Frank Hampson and obviously a lot of the professionals you go to see over the next couple of days can do as well. That's why we're paid so much money to do this sort of stuff that we can do it, and you can't. We're not going to teach men, are we? We just don't do it. We break with little fingers and everything. So there we go. And again, the bottom line is it's just such a beautiful piece of work. You know, these characters are completely believable. I mean, the landscape, they're on a different, they're in space now. And the nice thing is they're on a completely strange and wonderful world. It's like the cliffs in the background, the strange trees. And if you look like just on his hand, you know, the sort of stuff with the detail, it's like Frank Hampson was doing, you know, 40 odd years ago, it's just mind-blowing. And again, it's like this, because of the style of this storytelling, because it's like, it was only 2 pages, and they had 2 pages like introduce you every week into something just mind-blowingly different. I mean, this is 1950s Great Britain, where nothing else was happening, and this was magical imagery, showing you different worlds, different places, and the adventure that was like created by these particular artists. And again, it's just the sheer physical excellence of these characters. I'm hoping the page is not going to flip onto the next one. And it did. But you know, just the sheer form, it's like the beauty of this figure here. Doing the full length, like being thrown forward by the blast from a radar. It's just pure aesthetic genius. And the nice thing is all these little details. I mean, the amount of work goes into this panel here, where he's creating the scene, he's actually showing you where they are, the sort of spaceship they're using. Then you get the little panel underneath to like talk about exactly what's happening and showing you all the details. And again, it's just, if you look at the perspective, you know, you're looking down here, you're looking up, and then you do a close-up, and then you do a mid-shot. And these are all rules. They're not rules. All rules are made to be broken. These are like ways of approaching storytelling. And like when you see someone like this doing it, it really is something you'll aspire to, and I still aspire to tell us as well as this guy is. These are really interesting, but these are like covers that are sort of done just to sell the product. I mean, it's like, you know, flashy, colourful, and just beautifully produced, and really horrific detail. This is another one of my favourite artists, and again, what he's done in this particular story here is keeping it simple. You have a huge splash page, which is like, you know, the full size of the page in the comic book. And, you know, you just get a sense of size, you get the sense of movements, like the tiny little creature flying into this alien stone castle. And then it's just the way it all unfolds in front of your eyes. I mean, he introduces you to a world that is completely and utterly unbelievable, but he makes it believable. It's actually slightly out of sequence. It should be the top one, and then the bottom one, then the top one, and then this is a completely different story. But, you know, you have your scene, you set your scene again, here is actually creating something that's complete design oriented. The whole page becomes important because the whole page is approached as a piece of artwork, rather than the previous artist who was doing complete pure storytelling beautifully. What this artist has done is like set the page as a piece of artwork, and it's beautiful just to look at by itself, and then you can read the story within that also. And then just a great shock value going straight into. That's why I hate PCs. Only use Macs. If you're going to be a professional comic artist, only use Macs.
And Macintosh is a computer, is it?
No, it's an Apple.
Ah.
Right, this is my attempt to do my sort of like Dan Burr's, like Frank Hampson-esque type of storytelling. And it's like, it's the sort of stuff that, you know, will take me, in those, when I had the enthusiasm of your youth, which I had about 20, 30 years ago, I would spend a week slaving over something like this. And 20, 30 years ago, I can't remember, 75 quid? 75 pounds is what you got for a week's work, which is just ridiculous. You know, I couldn't pay the bills, my children starved, I had to send my wife out to the workshop, you know, just terrible. But, you know, the enthusiasm of youth is what we hopefully will get you guys interested in. And the great thing is, like, it's such a level playing field here. You don't need anything except a piece of paper and a pencil, and then you can do anything you want to do. If I can actually start you now doing the initial, if you have an idea of a character that you want to do, if you sort of have your favourite character of Pokemon or, you know, Ben 10 or sort of like Judge Dredd or anything, if you like just start introducing one character that you want to start drawing, and I don't know how many pieces of paper you've got, but if you start sketching out a character that you like, and then we'll come round and talk to you about it, and we might look at some more images. So do you want to start sketching the character that you want to tell stories about?